Okay. Hey,
Hey guys,
it's Brad
and Krista.
with the Big Family Homestead. Okay. A lot of people have been sending me different articles on the new climate change commandments. I do mean commandments. And I started looking into what this is, what it will be, what it does, who's involved, and the roots of where it comes from. And we want to talk about that today because there's some really important things that we need to pay attention to. And there's also some things that you probably don't need to get all twisted up about. But there are some very important things that will probably be towards the latter part of this conversation. And if you have information that you want to share, please do share it in the comment section down below, because this is a big topic with a lot of people involved, politicians, religious world leaders.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part right there.
Right.
They're uniting under one banner.
Right. Just FYI, if you do share something, you won't be able to share
Like a
a link, but you can share information.
Just say, I saw it at this place.
Right.
And then they can Google it. Okay, so the climate change 10 commandments, right? There is a movement to be more earth friendly, more aware of climate change, and it is being led by a lot of different religious leaders, but one of the biggies is the Pope, Pope Francis. And yeah, the information is real. He did come out and do, what's it called, an encyclical?
Encyclical, yeah.
And he has come out with 10 different commandments that are not really commandments in the same sense as the 10 commandments in the Bible, because he's not speaking what's called infallibly. And just time out, just so you guys know, I'm not picking on any of these world religions. If you're Catholic, don't freak out. I'm not coming up against you. You'll hear what I'm saying. Just this is dangerous.
Be patient.
This is not an anti-Catholic thing. It's not an anti-Muslim thing, because there's Muslims involved. There's Jewish people involved. There's Buddhists.
Oh, yeah.
Buddhist leaders. A lot of Episcopalian bishops. So it's not anti one thing.
Right.
Okay. But obviously the Pope is a big voice, so he's got a big crowd that listens.
Well, yes. The Catholic Church is how many billions of people in it? I don't even know, but it's a large church. Okay.
It's big.
So yeah, he's got a lot of people listening to him.
So what this is there's a group of leaders that are meeting on Mount Sinai in November, if they have not already. And they're basically kind of making a covenant of sorts to battle climate change. Okay, now this is not actually an anti-climate change talk either. You'll see what I'm saying. I'm reading off a screen over here, so if you see me doing this, I'm gonna, this is from the Interfaith Center for Sustainable Development. In Sinai, a prophetic call for climate justice and ceremony and repentance. So they're meeting at Mount Sinai, and they're going to make this covenant to push a new agenda that will be seeded into all of these religions via leadership in those religions. Jewish folks include Rabbi Tamar Elad, Rabbi Yuval Sherlow, Rabbi Arthur Green, Rabbi Richard Marker. There's a bunch of them.
There's a bunch, yeah.
Buddhists, Dr. Maria Reese Bito, Ven Young Ho Lee. Christians include, there's so many.
There's bishops, Bishop Mark Andrus, Bishop Josiah Fearon.
Yep. There's a Jesuit priest, Muslims, Grand Mufti. I'm sorry if I'm butchering these names. I'm not intending to.
Mustafa Serik.
Right.
In Bosnia.
Even religions of India, Swamis. The point is, and that this list is on climaterepentance.com. That's kind of scary in itself. Then you have you start looking at who these people are, like Rabbi Arthur Green. He's into Jewish mysticism. You start looking at who these people are.
Neo-Hasidic? Yeah. I've never heard that term before.
Yeah. The former Episcopal bishops, they have some interesting lives. I've been looking into them. And then you get to the Pope. Now, his encyclical was long.
Very long. Very, very, very long. There is a shortened version. Okay, so if you go to the Vatican.va, there's this long, list of things, encyclical documents, Pope Francis. But if you just search on your web server, the Pope 10 Commandments or something, I can't remember what I looked up, but CatholicClimateCovenant.org is where I found the encyclical. So if you go to CatholicClimateCovenant.org slash that's why I got tripped up /encyclical, then you will scroll down and you will find the quotations or the complete encyclical.
Right. So now, again, this is not an anti-Catholic thing.
Not at all.
The dangerous part's coming up. But this is what a summary of a few of the things that the Pope had stated. What kind of world do we want to leave to those children who come after us? Embrace alternative energy sources. We know that technology based on the use of highly polluting fossil fuels, especially coal, also oil, and to a lesser degree, gas needs to be progressively replaced without delay.
Fossil fuels
got to go, right? Consider the pollution's effect on the poor. Touch the hearts of those who look only for gain at the expense of the poor and the earth. Take a bus. Many specialists agree on the need to give a priority to public transportation. Be humble. We are not God. Therefore, the earth was here before us, and it has been given to us. Don't become a slave to your phone. This one was an interesting one.
That is interesting.
Why don't you read that one?
True wisdom is not acquired by a mere accumulation of data, which eventually leads to overload and confusion.
Go ahead.
Don't trade online relationships for real ones. Get off social media, folks. Real relationships now tend to be replaced by a type of internet communication which enables us to choose or eliminate relationships at a whim.
Turn off the lights. Recycle. Don't waste food. Environmental responsibilities significantly affect the world around us, such as avoiding the use of plastic, paper, reducing water consumption, separating, reuse, cooking only what can be reasonably consumed. Plant some trees. Turn off some lights. Educate yourself, and more. Okay, here's the point. First of all, I want to point out that the Pope is not speaking infallibly. He's just making suggestions that are obviously being heard because all these world leaders are gathering together to do this. Now, here comes the dangerous part.
Here it comes.
When religion and religious leaders get lock-synced with political leaders, it's never good for the people.
No.
Very rarely.
They're making decisions for you.
Very rarely. And there's a thing called Agenda 2050 that you should look up that basically is a new control grid for you. Now, when you hear these things, you go, wow, that sounds pretty good. I mean, honestly, who wouldn't want to think of the children coming up after us? Right?
Right. I think of our children and our grandchildren coming up after us, of course, all the time.
That sounds good. That will turn into rules that you will have to obey.
Right.
Sounds good right now. Embrace alternative energy sources. Okay, get rid of coal, get rid of oil, get rid of gas, replace without delay. How are we going to do that?
Needs to be progressively replaced without delay.
So these things actually on the surface don't sound so bad. I mean, if solar could do it, okay.
Great.
But then we got to take time to let everybody get it and afford it and be able to use it before you shut the things down that are powering the world.
Pipeline.
Cool. Bye-bye. Bye-bye jobs. Bye-bye.
How often is the power shut off in California?
Lots. Ask the people in Europe. pretty much announced blackouts because they went too fast trying to go climate change green. They went too fast, and now Germany is just trying to get coal back online.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the point, guys. You need to be very aware that there is an agenda to change the world that you live in fundamentally very quickly. And so quick that it may cause people to lose a lot. And I'm not talking money. You put 2 and 2 together with that. Now, these things sound great on the surface.
Oh yeah, they sound fantastic. Of course, I'd rather not have to use, you know, gas and oil all the time.
Wouldn't
you
it be
know?
nice to have a cleaner place to live?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Those things, which are now vague, are going to become very rigid rules, laws. Take the bus. What about people that live way out in the middle of nowhere?
There's
like us?
no bus transportation out here.
It's taking away your ability to go from point A to point
Right,
B.
right.
At will. Isn't that called freedom?
Lack of. Yeah.
I think what is happening, and this is just an opinion, is there's a book called The Return to Serfdom. And it outlines basically how in the past there were, you know, lords and kings and dukes, and they were the upper ruling class, and they were the ones that owned the land, and they were the ones that basically were served by the peons, the peasants, and the peasants could not own land. They didn't have freedom really, and they just lived out their meager existence and to serve the lords and the upper ruling class. And we've slowly, as a society, gone back to that. We only have a few freedoms left, and I think this kind of thing is geared at taking those away. So, I don't know. What do you think?
It's infuriating. Honestly, it's infuriating.
But what do you think?
Blood boiling. They're just taking away more of our freedoms.
Sounds good on the surface.
All of this sounds great on the surface, but they're just conditioning you
to accept
these 10 commandments, so that you'll
just
willingly comply.
do it.
You'll just comply.
Yeah.
I will not comply.
We don't litter and we don't do all that stuff.
No.
But I don't need somebody making laws telling me where I can and can't go.
Right. Right.
Yahtzee.
What fossil fuel I need to use or not use.
So, the only way you can push back is by pushing back.
Exactly.
If you don't want that kind of world, you're going to have to push back.
Say no.
I will not comply.
I will not comply. And
I'm not talking about being, you know, a polluter. I'm not talking about any of that stuff. I'm saying we're talking about freedoms. So, comments down below.
This ought to be a good one.
Bye, guys.